Welcome back, everyone. So, question for you, Alex. What do you know about the Rail Human Library?
I know nothing about the Rail Human Library. What is it?
You'd like to know more?
Yes.
Great stuff. Well, let's find out some more then. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, Tracy Barber. Tracy, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can't wait to hear a little bit more about the Rail Human Library.
I'm Tracy Barber. My day job is working for X-Rail Group, who are a signalling and telecoms business in the rail industry, and I am their global HR manager.
Wow, global HR manager. That sounds
global
like
HR, yeah.
responsibility. Brilliant. So just generally, what's it like to work in the modern day rail industry from your perspective?
So I joined rail, God, it must be coming up to 10 years ago now, maybe it'll be 10 years this year actually. And for me, it was just meant to be a stopgap. I was looking to become a teacher. So, okay, let's do this while we wait to see what the universities say about my application. And 10 years later, I'm still here. It's changed massively in the 10 years since I've been here. It is obviously very heavily male dominated, but there's many of us looking to change that. Tech is changing every day as well. So it is getting better and more diverse.
So when we as general public, when we think about the railway industry and maybe people as well, we think about train drivers, we think about conductors, we think about people who sell you your rail ticket. But I'm guessing that the industry is a lot more than that, a lot of different roles in the industry.
Definitely. What people don't realise is behind those front faces there is HR people, there's accountants, there's cleaning staff, there's every role that you could think of that you could ever want to go into. 9 times out of 10, that role exists in rail industry. It's one thing I never realised. My first perception of rail was, and I'll be honest, an old white male, head to toe in orange, and that's all they did. Went home on a night time, so the family's probably covered in oil. It's totally different, totally not that anymore.
Great stuff. And I guess there's the people who work on the rail making the trains move, but there's the people who lay the track.
We've got track design engineers. Obviously, then we have people that design platforms and stations. There's the maintenance guys. There is, as you say, your train drivers and conductors, which tend to be the front faces of the industry. But then on the back of that, for every train to run, there's a team of train running controllers. There's then a control team, just in case anything goes wrong whilst they're actually on shift. It's amazing how many roles that there is.
Okay, thank you. And talking about all those roles, I think you're the person who set up something called the Rail Human Library.
I was.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Rail Human Library?
Yeah, so whilst I first joined Rail, I became an enterprise advisor for the CIPD, and that twinned me with my local high school, which, much to my daughter's dismay, was also their high school. One of the roles as part of this enterprise advisor was to go in and do mock interviews, and I met with an amazing young girl, 15 years old. She was just about to sit her GCSEs, and she walked into this room, an absolute breath of fresh air, bounced into a chair. Hiya, my name's, I'm not going to give a name, obviously. Don't know what you do, but I want to be an engineer. Well, my heart just soared. We don't see many young girls that say they want to be engineers anymore. I had a chat with her, asked if she'd ever considered rail, and I got back that stereotypical view. Why would I do it? I don't want to work nights. I don't want to work in bad weather. Don't really want to wear orange. And I don't want to go home dirty. So at that point, it was like, I need to change this. And then from there, Rail Human Library just developed. We did our first Rail Human Library, it would have been about 2018. Yep, 2018, with the same high school, Denton Community College. We had 25 rail industry volunteers from a wide variety of roles again. We met with 100 children. At the end of the session, 67 of those 100 children said they'd never considered a career in rail, but they were going to go and look into more detail. So it was just, if we can do that in an hour with 67 kids, what can we do nationwide on a regular basis.
Great. So it's now gone nationwide. And so what sort of volunteers do you get within the
So we have, obviously myself, I do from a HR perspective. I have train drivers, both male and female, engineers, both male and female, rail journalists, railway chaplains, business development people, sales people, recruiters, everybody. And one thing that really stood out in the first Rail Human Library we did, a young girl came in and she's like, I don't know why I'm here. I really like religious education. There's nothing in rail for me. Till I pointed her over to our local railway chaplain and went, go and have a word with him. He might change your mind. And she'd never realised she could be really into religious education, but still do that in rail.
Fantastic. That's a great example. So obviously we've got the Rail Human Library with us here at Get Up to Speeds this week. So
yep.
And I know you've got lots of volunteers who've joined us this week. So can you tell us some of the roles that they're involved in?
So again, we've got a lady called Kendra Hailing, who is head of global brand marketing for Hitachi Trains. So she is worldwide. We've got, you're making me think now from memory, I think there's some marketing people, there's a couple of train drivers, there is an engineer, I believe. I think there's a recruiter, there's loads, there's absolutely loads.
That's great, Tracy. No, sorry, I took that
and
question
hopefully we can get some more involved by doing this.
So just going back to a little bit more about you and your journey, obviously we're trying to help young people on that journey. So, and I know you said you sort of fell into your, so what is your background in sort of your educational background?
So I left school with quite good GCSEs, went on to do A-levels for PE and English because I wanted to become a teacher. Couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to be a PE teacher or an English teacher. Went to college, did my A-levels. Things change when you're in college. Everybody knows that. Plans change. I then went into work full-time for a sports retailer that no longer exists, a company called All Sports. Worked my way through them until they went into liquidation. Then, as I'd had my second daughter, fell into a role in HR with a rug exporter, and then just fell into rail. And again, it was a role that was advertised as a temporary position. It's an on-track plant maintenance company. It was meant to be a 12-week placement, and 10 years later, I've never left.
So presumably you enjoy it?
It got me. I love it. Absolutely love it. I've worked in quite a few different industries. I've worked in retail, I've worked in exports and wholesales, I've worked in a food manufacturing environment. Nothing has hooked me like the rail industry has hooked me.
Great stuff. That's brilliant. So what advice would you give to young people, some of the people listening to us today, about thinking about possibly pursuing a career in rail?
Go for it. Don't let the stereotypes stop you, because I know that does worry a lot of young girls especially. Please don't be given this false image that, 1 minute, let me turn the lights on. Sorry, we have motion sensor lights. Shall I start that again?
Go on then, yeah.
So go for it. Don't let the stereotypes stop you. There's a lot of young girls especially that are very wary about joining rail, and it is because, quite rightly, they feel it is a very heavily male-dominated environment. That is changing massively. Network Rail, recently I was on a seminar with them, and that's they're only 13.8% female, but they are putting massive steps in place to change that. Now is the time to get involved with rail if you want to change it.
Okay, great. And obviously we've got HS2 coming along.
Yes.
And new opportunities, particularly I think in our region in South Yorkshire. How do you see the rail industry changing in the future, Tracy?
So over the next 10 to 15 years, rail is reported to lose 50,000 people to retirement. So those 50,000 people we are still going to need in this industry, and we need young people to take the steps now to look into roles, look into industry and to join us. So then in 10, 15 years time, as those 15, 16-year-olds are 25, 26, they are ready to backfill those roles for these 50,000, 65-year-old people.
Great. So it's definitely an industry to be looking to go into then.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not with HS2. With HS2 on top, you could probably triple that 50,000 that we're going to need.
Brilliant. So thanks for that. So
No worries.
So I think we're coming to an end now, Tracy. So just if you've got one final message for our viewers, for all the young people watching today, what would that message be?
So for me, it literally is the next time you catch a train or a tram, sit and think about who it is that you've interacted with. Who is it driving? Who's looking after the passengers? How did you buy your ticket? What happened there? Is it clean? Is it safe? Think about what people have done to make it that way for you. Where was it built? Where was it stored? Where was it looked after? Again, think of the people needed for that. And then all those people that you've interacted with and you've thought about, think again of the other people needed to support those roles.
Great. So lots and lots of people.
No worries. Lots of people.
I have thought of one more question, which just
go on.
So, in terms of routeways into the industry, can you go down the apprentice route, the graduate route? What are the routes into the industry?
Both. You can either, in fact, there's many ways. So you've got your apprentice route, which some of them might not be able to do until they're 18, dependent if they're trackside, because that is literally the legal requirements. That's the word I'm looking for. You can only be trackside if you're 18. But that doesn't mean we don't take apprentices on from 16 in other areas of the industry. There's then the graduate scheme. We see a lot of people that go and do an apprenticeship, that go and do a degree and then join rail through a year in industry. And then there's people like me that just fall into it because they've worked in a role, they've come across an opportunity, they've applied for it, they've got it, and they're never going to leave.
Thanks ever so much for that, Tracy. I think we both know a little bit more about what the Rail Human Library is now, Alex.
Well, we do, and I can't believe I've never heard of it before. But if we wanted to know more information, where would people go for? If they were in school now, where would they go to get more information about that, John?
Well, the good news is that we've actually the Rail Human Library is on the Get Up to Speed virtual website. So
Perfect.
Just go to when we finish listening to us now. Don't go now, but when you finish listening to our next guest. Go and visit the Rail page and you can hear some of these fantastic stories that Tracy has been collecting. So,
Brilliant.
So that's really good, isn't it?
So this will be a good time then to introduce Kerry White from NG, and she's going to be talking to us about the construction industry and the different professions within that industry as well. Over to you then, Kerry.
Yeah, so my name's Kerry White. I'm a social value officer and I work for a company called NG.
So who are NG and what do they do?
Yeah, so NG is a leading energy and service company that focuses on three key activities: energy, facilities management and regeneration. Regeneration being construction, and that is the umbrella that I personally sit under.
And what's it like for you and your colleagues to work in the sector? What sort of things are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
It's exciting. Everything's changing, and in terms of the new build projects, you see a building come from brick to fully fledged, and I think that in itself is just really rewarding, and seeing the progress of change is good. It's exciting.
Great. And so what sort of jobs are there in NG then? What could you do as an employee with NG? What sort of roles could you be involved in?
Yes, so within construction, I think the stereotype joiners, plumbers, electricians, but there's so much more and so many more opportunities available. So we've got the higher level apprenticeships as well as your basic apprenticeships. So you've got marketing, HR, business admin, quantity surveyor, design and build. And I think having that awareness of the different job roles, opportunities in construction is a message that I'd like to get out there today, really.
Obviously, over the last 12 months, Kerry, we've been through quite a challenging, dramatically changing time. So how has the recent pandemic sort of impacted on NG, and what have you learned? How have you had to adapt in that time?
Yeah, I think the key word in that is about adaptation, John. So in terms of building, we was classed as a key workers. So buildings was very much up and running as they were, but in line with the health and safety measures, 2 meter distancing, hand sanitizing regular, and making sure that you're working within your own working group bubble.
And obviously, from what you've said about NG, building a better world for the future is a key priority for all of us, but also obviously for NG. And you're sort of at the heart of this, aren't you, in terms of the way you're developing as a business and what you do. So what's the industry doing at the moment, and how do you see things changing in the future towards this sustainable world and a better world for all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. ENGIE is really strong against climate change, and it's imperative that the position that we're in will continue to on this fight. And we're more committed than ever, really, to making zero carbon happen through reducing constructions, greener energy supplies, and through the data technologies that we've got, smart buildings that we're introducing. And I anticipate that is the way that we will pursue to go further. Yeah.
So what is a smart building for those of us who maybe don't know what a smart building is? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the smart building is using all the latest technologies to ensure that it's a greener consumption going into the properties. So we've got solar panels, and we're basically using the energy to make it much more greener going into that property.
And you sort of touched on the different jobs and roles there are in NG or in other construction companies, and you mentioned sort of apprenticeships. So how can people get into what are the levels you can start at within NG? Is it always apprenticeship, or are there other ways of getting in?
Yeah, so apprenticeship is like the basic level where you would come into, but then there's high degree apprenticeships that we can go and get in, and then there's traineeships and graduates. So there's lots of different entry levels that you can enter, but your basic one would be school leaver, coming in at age 16 straight into an apprenticeship, studying probably a level 3 NVQ.
Great, thank you. So just a bit more about you then, Kerry. So tell us a bit more about your job and your job role and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so my job role is as a social value officer. I kind of sit under 2 hats. So one hat is the apprenticeship officer. So currently I mentor and support 40 apprentices within South Yorkshire. And then the other side is the social value side, and that's bettering the communities that we work in and around. We have KPIs of employability skills that we like to deliver within those set areas. So that could mean doing workshops in schools, colleges, and actively promoting construction and bettering people's lives, really.
So what's your own journey been, Kerry, to get from school to where you are today? Was it well planned out, or what's your career story really?
Yeah, absolutely not well planned out at all. So at the age of 16, I went straight to college, and that was because my friends were doing it, not because I particularly wanted to do it. And then I went to Thomas Rotherham College, got 5 A levels, so I did quite well in A's and B's. And then again, my friends will go off to university, so I thought, yeah, I'll go to university because my friends are, rather than what I wanted to do. And even in terms of career, I set out to be a teacher because a couple of my friends, that's what they were doing, so I got on the same course as them. Looking back, it was extremely naive and not really thinking at all what I wanted to do. I come out of university with a degree in education, did extremely well, got 2-1 in that. And then I looked and thought, now what? So then I become a resident liaison officer in the company that I'm still in today. So that was 14 years ago, and I've done 3 different roles. So I started as a resident liaison officer, and then I become customer care coordinator, and then now a social value officer. And I think that's highlighting within a business. If you set out in one route, there's lots of different pathways of opportunity that you can then step into, and that's certainly been my journey to my destination today.
Okay, great. What do you enjoy most about your job, Kerry?
What I enjoy most is the development of an apprentice, meeting that apprentice on that first day, who was generally quiet, shy, not really open to the different opportunities that are available, and then seeing them develop and actually seeing them learn and express themselves and find out who they are. And I think that is so rewarding, and you can't even put a price tag on that. And I get to do that on a daily basis. So I think I'm extremely lucky to have the job I've got.
Excellent. So, and sort of, so for our young people who are watching today, so what advice would you give to those sort of starting on their journey and maybe thinking about pursuing a career in construction?
I think grasp it with both hands. It's exciting, it's fast paced, and if anything as well, do it because you want to do it. Just don't do it because your friends are doing it or a parent's advising you to do it. You're in your job a long time, and you need to enjoy what you're doing and get a career in doing that as well. And in terms of construction, there's so many different pathways. Even I've just said to myself, I've done 3 different job roles within ENGIE. So you may start out as an apprentice joiner, you could be the chief exec of the company, and that is actually very feasible to do. With passion and determination, you will get to your destination where you want to go.
Thank you, that's great advice. So just a couple of last questions now. So just looking forward, thinking about the future, what exciting opportunities do you think are on the horizon for ENGIE?
I think there's a lot of opportunities because we're constantly winning work, and because we're a global company as well, there is opportunities to work abroad into different countries and different job roles that aren't even available within this country. And as well, in terms of thinking locally within Rotherham, we've got a 10-year partnership with Rotherham Council, where we've got a commitment to have 100 apprentices over a 10-year framework. So we've got lots of job opportunities available. And when I'm talking about apprenticeships, I'm talking about the young people. So whoever's watching this today, that opportunity is there for you.
And one last question. Do you have one final message or piece of advice for everybody watching today?
I think get some work experience, get valid work experience, because if you don't, the person next to you will, and then they'll be applying for the same position with you, but that in the back pocket. And actually take an interest, do background research of the companies, find what the company can actually do for you. It's a two-way street. It's not just a one-way process, this. And ultimately enjoy yourself. Enjoy turning up to work, enjoy what you're doing, and also make a difference. Let you be the difference to other people too.
Thanks for that fascinating insight, Kerry. Obviously lots of different careers and opportunities in the construction industry, and for those young people out there who want to find out more about that, yeah, we've got a site and a page on the site for construction industry, so go and find out more if that's a career that you're thinking of pursuing. So that's it for this morning, Alex.
And what a morning it's been.
Yes, great stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant, really good.
We're back at 2 this afternoon, and we've got we're going to hear about another sort of high-profile industry and traditional industry, but also modern industry. We're going to hear all about the automotive industry.
Okay, great.
But the great thing is we're going to hear about it from behind the steering wheel and under the bonnet.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're meeting a young man, Ollie Jackson, who is both an engineer, but he's also a British rally car 2 times champion. So we're going to hear about Ollie's story this afternoon.
Well, that's going to be really exciting. Can't wait.
Great stuff. So we'll see you later.
Sheffield is home to an advanced manufacturing park, and the area as a whole has a key role to play, I think, in our aim of making the UK the best place in the world to do science.
The North Star, the St Paul's Way Summer Science School and the Well North Enterprises Partnership encourages innovation and opportunity to inspire your generation. Our vision is for the UK to become the best place in the world to practice science, technology, engineering, arts and maths.
Landing checks. Undercarriage. Down 3 greens. Brakes. 4,200 green. Fuel. It's good. We've got 13,500 pounds. Landing lamps. Can go out, I suppose. Flashing arrival. Can't be finals. Yeah, no.
Gaining qualifications is a key stepping stone to future employment.
It's important because you never really get these opportunities in life, and it really helps with your future more than you think it will. On your CV, your confidence will improve a lot. From these 4 days, you can see a difference between everyone you've met.
But qualifications alone do not guarantee success in finding, keeping and progressing in employment.
I think it really helps young adults to develop their skills and become more employable to help their future careers.
Our Summer Academy gives young people the opportunity to gain key skills and attributes that employers are looking for.
Personally, I think I've gained a lot of confidence, self-esteem, and that will definitely help me out in the future. Plus, I've also learned how to write CVs, which I didn't know before.
Our week-long, fun and interactive programme is designed for students aged 14 to 18 who are keen to get a head start.
I have more knowledge about jobs and how things work, especially engineering.
Join us this summer and discover the world of work.